Hey, here's an old National Geographic from July 1971. Isn't that neat? This is about Apollo 14. Look at that right there. It's kind of interesting. Right there on page 136 is a pullout. As an expert in photographic analysis, I can tell you that picture's actually impossible. Sorry, I'll edit that out of this video. As Forrest Gump would say, that's all I got to say about that. Right there on page 136. Interesting. Yeah. How you doing this evening? Yeah? And the past few videos have had a lot of comments and not complaining at all. It took me a long time to read them all. It took a few days. I actually enjoyed reading your comments. This is a video about, and you could add to it, since I read every comment, I'd like you to add to the lies that there's just so many lies, right? The lies that were left out that are not in the list of this video. Because people are lying to you, you know, like big time lying to you. The world right now, by the way, you know, if you didn't notice the bleeding obvious, the world is upside down. Like big time upside down. Good is bad. Right is wrong, dark is light, light is dark, and the only thing you can say, or at least I'm going to say, maybe we'll say it in your own way, is stand fast and stand fast. If you give an inch, they'll take a mile. There's an old saying that said the only thing it requires for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing. A lot of people are complicit with tyranny. I mean, they really are. This video is not about tyranny. This is a list of lies. They're not in any particular order. Yeah? And I'd like you to add to this list because I notice a lot of other people reading other people's comments, and I read them all too. And there's probably some really important ones. There's just so many, right, that I've left out of this. In case you didn't know, on the currency, it's, you know, the Fed is not actually federal at all. You know, it's a private bank. You know, the people that actually print that paper money that's made out of cotton rag, yeah, the Fed isn't federal. The IRS is a total scam. I mean, it just is a scam. It's a scam to rob humanity of the stuff for the sweat of their own brow, as your grandfather would actually say. All taxes are actually not used to, most all taxes are not used to pay for anything. It's like, I pay taxes, shouldn't this be this? No, it's actually used to pay off the interest on the national debt and extremely little else. Property taxes are a sin against humanity. They're actually above that of federal taxes. They absolutely are. That's actually a fact of life, less than a lie, but it is also, too, a lie at the same time. I really wanted to actually include that in this. Here's a really important one. I talked about this in a video like a month or so ago, and that serving a soulless talisman, be it a business or a government, even if it's your own business, is against natural order, and it always... They never acknowledge how much you put into it. They'll quickly acknowledge how much you don't put into it and, you know, possibly fire you. Unless, of course, it's the government, and this is the reason why when you get more than 50% of the population working for the government, because the government does nothing well other than, unfortunately, end the lives of lots of people. Not only of people around the world, but of course of their own citizens, because they don't care about you. You know, people, you know, like irreligious people, for example, and I have no connection to religion. I'm interested in metaphysics, but please don't ever call me an atheist. Okay? That's a horrible insult. People will like scoff at the idea of when like Moses cast down the Ten Commandments while he was up on the mountain top getting message from God. I know why atheists and whatnot will scoff at that. You know, Aaron had built the golden calf after their exodus from Egypt, and you know, everybody's sitting around worshiping you know, the golden calf, and you know, sinners, idolaters, and blasphemers, and he cast the Ten Commandments. Everybody kind of fell into. I know why people roll their eyes at that, but that is about as literal as it gets. People that serve these businesses, if you get sick with cancer and curl up and die, they'll replace you in a heartbeat. They don't give a damn about you. So many people are literally, we scoff at like, oh, those nutty Mesoamericans that were doing literal sacrifices, atop the pyramids in Central America. And I'm right along with that, but people are doing the same thing except in a different fashion to these icons. Don't serve, this talisman. There's no difference between a company logo, and I have a couple company logos tattooed on me, unfortunately, of course. No difference between that golden calf and these government entities or the businesses that you work for, whether it be IBM or Amazon or any other soulless entity. They're all evil. It's like, well, it's a family business. You're still, it's like, well, they care about me. I work with my dad and brother and sister. Well, this is an exception, excuse me. Once a business grows past 20 or so people and it extends outside of the family, it still doesn't care about you. You're serving a soulless entity, even if everybody that works in the company is your family. Paper is not money. That's stuff that the Fed prints, which is not federal at all. It's a debt certificate. The fact that human beings violate natural order and spend their lives chasing that around, and I'm basically nearly as guilty of it as anybody else. I'm not chasing money for the sake of money, rather just to pay bills. We all have our own little pathetic excuses for it, and I admit my fault and guilt in that horrific pyramid scheme of totalitarian despotry, which is exactly what it is. But a full life is not the same thing as having money. There are people that live full lives that have been broke their entire lives, and there are people that are filthy rich that have lived in isolation and not even lived a day. Stop chasing money. It's a debt. It's a piece of paper designed to ruin everybody's lives and not focus in on what's important. Credit cards are slavery. They will tell you you have to have a credit card to rent a car and do. I don't even have a credit card anymore. I haven't had one for years. Credit cards are slavery. The banks that give out mortgage, the term mortgage means the death grip. It's becoming harder and harder and harder now for anybody to own a home. But ignorant people who are emotional, for example, and protest, these are the last people anybody should listen to. They're irrational, they're emotional, and they're unwise. These are what is meant by the term useful idiot. That is a great term everybody should use and accurately apply it. A useful idiot. It's a pawn in the chess game. It's like, well, I'm going to sacrifice this pawn to get, the queen of the opposite player. I understand. It's an incredibly important piece. I'm going to send the pawns first. I grew up playing chess. I used to be a chess champion. People, these useful idiots, are working against their own interest. I don't know if you know this or not. As a former concealed carry instructor and an actual genuine expert on this topic, however, I don't make videos on this on social media. In seconds count, the 911, the police are minutes, if not a half hour, an hour away. Every country on earth that's banned, I'm going to call them tools for defense, has fallen into tyranny. Pol Pot, Schicklgruber, I'll let you figure out who Schicklgruber is. I don't want to say that person's name. Australia, recently Canada, Fidel Castro, Mao Zedong, Stalin, Gaddafi, Idi Amin, on and on and on and on and on. History repeats itself over and over and over and over and over and over again. And with that, I need to follow with this statement. All governments want you declawed and neutered. Both of which they're literally doing right now. Not that you're a cat, but they want you declawed and neutered. They want you fighting with your neighbor and your neighbor fighting with you and all these different entities. They pit neighbor against neighbor. The most scary thing to any entity, or should I say the government, is like getting 30 or more non-drunk males together and discussing their dissatisfaction about how they're horribly treated. That's like the scariest thing on earth. That's something everybody should remember. You know, this is... I'm not going to finish that sentence. I'm not a member of any group, by the way. I don't believe in being a joiner, but that's the most... And they have to keep all of us divided against each other. You know, this group against that group, and stigmatizing people. They stigmatize and they brainwash everybody. And I lived in California. And I used to talk to these people. They literally make Californians think that like everybody in Kentucky is like barefoot, moonshine-making, ignorant redneck, for example. Like, oh, you know, those are the flyover countries. I'm way more intelligent and infinitely more wise than 100% of the people I ever met in California. Not that there's not wise or intelligent people in California. You know, this pitting of one group against another, this is how every government always retains power. They're always lying to you and trying to lie to me. The important point is to actually have a sharp mind. So anyway, every government wants you and me declawed and neutered, literally. And the other thing they want to do, you should remember this phrase, they want to treat you like a mushroom. You know how you take care of a mushroom? You feed it poop and you keep it in the dark. Every government on earth treats you and me and everybody else like a mushroom. Feed it crap and keep it in the dark. Feed it crap, keep it in the dark. You should not fall in line with that. People go home, they work hard, they turn on the idiot box. This thing is the idiot box, and they get brainwashed by lying propagandists. Don't listen to them. No job, once again, this is kind of an extension when I mentioned just about 10 minutes ago, no job cares about you in any way, shape, or form. It does not, and especially not the government. You know, ever had to go to the DMV? Every government is extremely inefficient unless it comes to harming people. That's about all. Spending money and harming people is about all they're good at. I don't really care about politics. You say it's a political statement, but it's not. It's a statement of fact that actually affects our lives. You ever buy something and they say, we'll give you a discount if you go leave a 5-star review on Amazon? Most of the reviews on that website are a scam and a lie. I have, as a YouTube person that reviews a lot of gear, get offered all sorts of free gear. You know, all you have to do is just talk about it. We'll give you this free so-and-so. I always decline it. Always declined it. They just want you to talk about something. So don't listen to... There are a few real YouTubers, and I was proud to be one of them, to do genuine gear reviews. Whether people liked them or not, they knew I was at least brutally honest about it. And I was always right on my reviews on cameras and lenses. So don't listen to fake reviews on... it's like, I'm going to go look up a review on this product I'm thinking about buying. People need to have a sharp mind so they can see through people. You know, make people become transparent to them. I'm not going to use this word because the algorithms are always listening, but what's going on in a place between here and the former Soviet Union, Russia, is a whole lot of shady stuff going on. I'm going to be very PC when I say there's a lot of shady stuff going on, and it's designed to feed the MIC, the military-industrial complex, and to feed a proxy war. It does not care about that country. The United States government does not. Every time you see these politicians vociferously say how much they're crying for the country and whatnot, they're not. They're getting kickbacks and they're being paid for by the MIC, the military-industrial complex, to feed the beast. I'm about 1,000% certain that we left behind a lot of heavy military hardware when we extremely quickly exited Afghanistan. Due to the fact that that would actually feed a future conflict that would cause us to go hot and heavy back into that part of the world, which would have to be fed with the military hardware from, once again, the MIC. It's kind of like planting a seed. It's like, we're going to withdraw out of Afghanistan. We're going to leave like trillions of tons of heavy-duty military hardware there that they could use and do with as they see fit. That's just planting a seed for a future conflict. Anybody with 2 brain cells can actually see that. You could disagree all you want. The mirage that these people that think they have control over us is a total lie. It's a total hologram. You should tell them, and I've done this many times myself, hey, listen, buddy, you work for me. I don't work for you. For every one of them, there's like 1,000 of us. Not that that's a literal statistic, but it's extremely accurate. Why are there so many unintelligent, I know the answer to this, why are there so many unintelligent people that kowtow down to the people that are supposed to work for them? It would be like a parent being afraid of their own little baby, you know, little baby in diapers, not like a rabid teenager, which is nearly uncontrollable. It's like, no, that baby is yours. You have total control over it. No mother would be afraid, unless it was like, you know, the Antichrist, right? No, no mother or father would be afraid of a little baby in a diaper. Yet that's how people act regarding, you know, the government. It's like, these people are literally public servants. That's their definition. You're a public servant. You know, what am I supposed to do? Be afraid of you? No, you work for me. No, you know, you can stick it where the sun doesn't shine and get lost. Like, every citizen out there is concerned about that. It just blows my mind. Schools are 100% a scam designed to indoctrinate the minds to be worker bees. They do not teach you how to critically think. The last thing they want are critical thinkers. Every school out there is a scam, even the really expensive ones. Don't teach you how to think. I've railed on this endlessly. It's quite bottomless. And people confuse capitalism with corporatism. But corporatism and capitalism together, they're kind of like conjoined twins almost. But corporatism is not capitalism. They want you and me to buy junk. Electronic junk. Not that I'm specifically calling this junk, but this is electronic junk. You know, which in a year or so, basically worthless, right? Just like computers. Like, well, I need this computer. I'll get my money's worth out of it. I use it for work. Not this one, but they brainwash us to buy this junk. Those are things. Certain assets are physical, phenomenal things, of course. But we need to not listen to these people that every commercial between the shows that you like is brainwashing you to go buy garbage you don't need. If people would save their money and invest it wisely, land, silver, other things that I've mentioned a million times, genuine assets, things that could actually give you passive income. Nothing is greater than land. You could have all the fun in the world on it. You could eat off of it. It'll feed you or house you. It'll do all sorts of things for you. Keep you warm vis-a-vis the lumber. Help you, the lumber will give you, if you buy like a little sawmill, feed you, keep you warm, on and on and on. And you could still sell it for 20, 30 years later for God knows how much more, infinitely more than you paid for it. Even if like the poop were to hit the fan tomorrow, not totally hit, your land is your land. I say, well, our land is, half the people on earth have bit the dust. Your land, even if it gets cut in half relative to what you paid for, which is extremely unlikely, but it's possible, it still has every benefit in the world for you. People don't understand the value of land. Anyway, they've brainwashed us all to buy junk rather than assets that can actually feed us and clothe us and keep us warm and give us passive income. I just harvested nearly $6,000 of trees off of my farm. You could barely tell they were missing from there. I uploaded a video of that as proof. If they, whether that's the corporatism or media propaganda or the government, makes no difference, they say it's good for you, to be sure it's bad for you. Here's a neat little trick most people don't know about. Chinese products are made really, really, really well to give Like big lithium battery packs, for example, is one of the many things I do that with. Get good reviews for a year or less. Like, man, it's a great product, it's a great price. What they do then is they drastically cheapen the product. So you'd have to tear it apart to see the difference to make a much, much bigger profit. And it's like, well, I'm reading all the reviews, say it's a great product, and turns out, they only made a great product for like 6 to 9 months or a year maybe. And they got tons of great reviews. Now they've made it infinitely cheaper and junkier so they can make a huge profit margin. Here's the other thing that people don't seem to understand. Banks don't lend money. They lend debt and they lend slavery. Same thing as credit cards. College is a total scam unless you become an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, or a nurse. College is a frigging scam. It's not what you know, but who you know. That's so, so important. You don't care. You can't disagree with me. It's a fact. You can get farther, infinitely farther, by dropping names and knowing people than a so-called great education. This comes from somebody that spent many years in college and wasted years there. 2 years of education from the finest institution is not even worth 2 months of hands-on experience. Let me repeat that because it's super accurate. 2 years of the best education that money can buy, education, indoctrination really, is not even worth 2 months of hands-on. 2 months of hands-on is worth far more than 2 years. Which would you rather hire as an employer if you had a brain? Somebody with, I got an education. It's like, you have any experience? No, I don't. Or somebody with 2 months of experience. I know actually how to do this job. I've been doing it for a few months. Great, you're hired. Civilization is a fantasy. This is a big one people need to realize. It doesn't exist. Civilization is the thinnest crust over top of the largest volcano, kind of like the national park out there. What is it, Yellowstone or Yosemite? Is it Yellowstone or I think it's Yosemite National Park. Very, very beautiful, idyllic. It's a super volcano sitting over a gigantic magma chamber. When it goes off, the earth is going to darken and get colder. Actually, that is definitely, when that happens, that's exactly what's going to happen. Civilization's that thinnest crust over that largest volcano. Collapse of civilization. Think about this, by the way. People say, why do you prep or why do you do prepping? That makes any sense. What are you worried about? Civilization collapse is only 2 missing paychecks, meaning society in general. 2 missing paychecks to go from calm to chaos. Think about that one. Civilization, for it to go boop boop, break in half. 2 missing paychecks from 80% or more of the people. 2 missing paychecks. People are like, everything is fine. I'm sitting here by my fireplace, enjoying myself, watching a movie. Yeah. To bedlam. Chaos. 2 missing paychecks. You think I'm lying? Oh, I'm not lying. That is not my opinion. That's a fact. There's actually been statistical analysis done on that fact. If the government can print it, it's worthless. If the government can spontaneously, drop it out like an egg lays like an egg. Like a hen lays an egg, it's worthless. Hence, consider asset diversification, please. Silver, platinum, true assets like land and other things that I've mentioned a million times. Please consider this. I hope you liked this video. By the way, if you ever want to contact me, my information is in the description below. Tell me other lies. There's so many. I can make like 100 videos of lies. Also, too, any donations always warmly welcome in the description below. Tell me what you think. I read every comment, and other people enjoy reading your comment, too. So tell us some of your lies. I'll take note of them and jot them down for a future additional lies episode. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Lux Veritas.